All right, so just in case I've never taken the time to formally introduce you, this is my guitar. Her name is Elliot. She's named after Elliot from Scrubs, and she is a PRS McCarty 594 SE. And I know what you're thinking to yourself, Mike, that is a really long name. But PRS's naming abilities are not necessarily important to this story. What's important is actually another guitar. You see, this is my PRS McCarty 594 S2 version. And just in case you're not a PRS fan and you might be a little bit confused, SE, S2, here's the quick spark notes. SE is to S2 as SQUIER is to FENDER. SE is kind of PRS's more affordable line before they start getting into the S2s in the custom shop. So when I got these two guitars, it was kind of a really big deal. You see, I've owned a couple of PRSs before, both SE and S2 models, but I had never really had them in the same place at the same time. So there was just this wave of excitement that hit me because I knew I would have different guitar friends come over to jam and we were going to be able to A/B them, see what the strengths and weaknesses were, and see if they could actually live up, because I knew how I felt about the guitars. I knew how I had felt them in the moment, but I wanted to see if my friends could feel the same. But of course, as life does, there was an obstacle in my way and something happened. Something big happened to one of these guitars that in the moment seemed unfixable. Okay, it actually wasn't that unfixable. I don't know if you can notice right here, but the washer actually fell off of the pickup selector. It's a very easy fix, even for someone like me who's not a tech, but in the moment, when something like that happens to one of your guitars and the sound went off, I was immediately freaking out and I was like, oh no, my PRS is done. The world is just an unfair place. And like I was saying, it's a very easy fix, even for someone like me who doesn't know a ton about fixing guitars. But I was sad because in the moment the pickup selector wasn't working, and I was sad because I knew my friends were coming over the next day and they wouldn't be able to see and try out these guitars like I thought we would before when they first arrived. But eventually when my friends came over, something interesting happened, because this guitar, the SE, was one of the guitars that I actually had sitting out on a stand, and they would walk in the door, they would knock, I'd be like, come on in, grab any guitar you want. And they would grab this guitar right here, they would start playing it, and they would be like, Mike, this guitar sounds amazing. I can't believe PRS is doing so much with their S2 line, because I hadn't told them that I had gotten an SE. And I had a big grin on my face, and every time, no joke, I would be like, bro, that's not the S2. That's the SE. You see, me and my friends were genuinely floored with just how much PRS was able to do specifically with this guitar with their SE line and making it so close to the S2 McCarty. I had played SEs before. I had played the SE Silver Sky, and I loved that guitar, don't get me wrong. But this felt so much closer to the S2 in the core model. So we basically made the unanimous decision that the PRS SE MCCARTY 594 was the best SE that they had ever made. I like the other one. I like the SE Custom 24. I like the SE Standard 24, but this got the closest to the S2 in the core model. At least I thought at the time. You see, I had been so enamored with the McCarty that I had forgotten to even look into the fact that the same day the PRS announced the SE 594 McCarty, they'd announced one other guitar, and I happen to have one right here. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to formally introduce you to the PRS SE DGT. The DG standing for David Grissom, who is a fantastic guitar player. I remember the first time I heard his Hendrix cover, it was unreal. And the T standing for Tremolo. Honestly, when looking at this thing online and in videos, I didn't love the gold top and I just wanted the tobacco sunburst. But feeling this thing in person, like, it looks like a PRS. It looks like a legit PRS. But enough about the visuals and the aesthetics. We need to actually answer the big question. How does this thing play? All right, so first things first, rest in peace, Uncle Phil. But Also, this neck is legitimately ridiculous. It's got a 10-inch radius and it's a C-shaped neck, but I think the really important thing is actually on the back. It's a lacquered neck, which I have a whole story, a whole rabbit hole behind this. For a long time, I was straight up Mr. Satin neck, and I've liked a lot of the PRS necks that I've had before with some of those guitars that I've owned. But when you're given the choice, it's always been satin over lacquered. 6 months ago, it started to change a little bit more with some of the lacquered necks that I was playing. And then it really changed a month ago when I started playing the D'Angelico. And now it's 50-50. I like satin necks just as much as I like lacquered necks. This is no exception. Also, when it comes to the actual electronics and the pickups on this guitar, I don't know if you knew this or if you could tell from here, but the way that the pickups are configured are actually switched from how you think they would be. So this pickup actually corresponds with this bottom volume knob, and this pickup actually corresponds with this top volume knob. David Grissom, I don't know why you do things, man, but it's cool, I guess. But the thing that really stuck out to me with this guitar, like the thing that really got me, was actually the single coil. Not just PRS, but just electric guitars in general. This is one of the first electric guitars I've played where I truly do feel like the coil split sounds just as good as the regular humbuckers. Specifically in the middle position, it gets that like very fourth position strat thing. Then of course it's the DGT. The T stands for tremolo. About 6 months ago, I took all of the trems, all of the whammy bars, all of the Bigsby's off all of my guitars except for one, because I would just abuse this thing at gigs. I would abuse it. And it got to the point where it was very untasteful. However, I like having that option. All right, so let's get down to the nitty gritty. When it comes to this guitar right here, the PRS MCCARTY 594 SE, still a crazy long name. This guitar, my opinion, has not changed in any way, shape, or form. This thing is excellent. And to me, it set a completely new standard for what PRS was able to do with their SE models. However, when taking everything into consideration, including the neck feel, the pickups, and the overall trem system, I got nothing to say, but I truly do now think that this is the gold standard for the PRS SE line, and no pun intended. I think that unlike the MCCARTY 594, it holds up really well with the S2 model, but with this guitar, there is no S2 model they had to go off of. You're just going straight to the core, and I think there definitely could have been a scenario where they just made this guitar really, really easy. I mean, $4,000 versus $800, that's a big price difference. And if there are any like big differences, you can just chalk it up to that. But they really went for it with the DGT, not just in the sound, but in the feel and the actual experience of holding this guitar. I'm proud to say that I've loved all of the SEs that I've owned, but there's a clear winner in my mind right now. But again, it doesn't matter what I think. I want to know what you think. Have you tried the DGT SE? Do you think MCCARTY 594 sounds better? Do you like any of the SEs? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. It was so much fun to just be able to take a look at the PRS DGT SE. Not quite as long a name as the MCCARTY, but still, I want to come up with some abbreviations. If you want to know anything more about this guitar, make sure to check out the links in the description. It's one of the best ways to support the channel if that's something you want to do, or if you're just curious about any of the other gear that I use, make sure to check out those links. Like and subscribe if you had a good time, and most importantly, most important of all, have a fantastic day. MCCARTY, MCCARTY, with Paul McCartney, playing MCCARTY.